December 5th, 1945. Late afternoon off the coast of Florida. 5 Navy torpedo bombers are flying a training route their crews have flown before, and the man leading them has just realized he has no idea where he is.
Both my compasses are out, and I am trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am over land, but it's broken. I am sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down.
That is Lieutenant Charles Taylor, the flight leader, as recorded in the Navy's investigation. And inside it is the mistake that kills 14 men. He is not over the Keys. He is east over the Bahamas, so the heading he picks does not go home. It goes out to sea. For 3 hours, shore operators listen to 5 aircraft argue about which way west is. Then the voices thin out and stop. And when a rescue flying boat goes after them with 13 men aboard, a passing tanker watches it turn into a fireball. This is Flight 19, 27 dead in a single evening. And out of it, 19 years later, a magazine writer built the most successful piece of ocean folklore ever sold, the Bermuda Triangle. Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, December 1945. The war has been over 4 months and the place is still a training factory. Young crews learning to cross open water with a compass, a clock, and arithmetic. That afternoon's exercise was called Navigation Problem Number 1. East to hens and chickens shoals, drop practice bombs, further east, turn north, then southwest for home. A triangle about 3 hours. Routine. 5 TBM Avengers went up. Normally that's 15 men, 3 to an aircraft. That day it was 14. One crewman reportedly never reported for the flight, stayed on the ground, and lived. The instructor leading them was Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, a combat veteran with roughly 2,500 hours, but new to this base and used to flying the Keys and the Gulf side of Florida. According to the record, he asked that afternoon to be excused. Nobody could replace him. Navigating an Avenger in 1945 meant this: fly a heading for a set number of minutes at a known speed, and draw where that puts you. Dead reckoning. It works beautifully as long as your first assumption is right. If it isn't, everything after is confidently, precisely wrong. Flight 19 took off at 10 past 2 and the bombing run went fine. Then, somewhere on the second leg, an instructor airborne nearby picks up a stray transmission, one pilot asking another what his compass reads, and a voice saying they must have gotten lost after that last turn. Then Taylor comes on the frequency, and it gets worse. The flight leader says both of his compasses are gone, and that he believes he is somewhere over the Florida Keys. Here's the fork, the whole disaster hangs on. If you are over the Keys, the mainland is northeast. Half an hour and you hit Florida. If you are over the Bahamas, northeast is 2,000 miles of open Atlantic. Taylor was certain. He was also wrong.
If we would just fly west, we would get home.
That line is in the log from a pilot the record does not name. The sun was setting in the west. Some of the students had working compasses, but the flight leader outranked them, and Flight 19 kept turning east and north. Then the failures stacked. Taylor would not switch to the emergency frequency. Switching risked scattering the flight, and Cuban commercial stations were bleeding over the channel. Static rose. Shore stations could hear him only in pieces. And then the part that stings. By around 10 to 6, land stations had triangulated a rough fix north of the Bahamas, far east of Florida. The answer those men were dying over existed on paper, on shore. As far as the record shows, it never reached Taylor in a form he could use. At some point he did turn west. Then he turned back east, apparently afraid he had overshot into the Gulf of Mexico. The sun went down, the wind came up, and underneath them was a black, rough sea. His last recorded instructions are about going in together, close up tight, and when the first aircraft is down to about 10 gallons, the whole flight ditches at once. The final faint transmission came a little after 7. Ditching a heavy aircraft at night in a December swell hundreds of miles from land is not a survivable maneuver. 14 men. No raft, no float, no bodies, then or since. At 27 minutes past 7, a Martin Mariner flying boat lifted off from Banana River to look for them, with 13 men aboard. 20 minutes later, the tanker Gaines Mills reported a burst of flame in the sky and burning fuel on the water. Crews called that aircraft type a flying gas tank because fuel vapor collected inside the hull. 13 more dead, nothing recovered. The search ran 5 days. Hundreds of aircraft and ships covered a reported 250,000 square miles. They found no debris they could tie to Flight 19, and no one alive. In 1946, a Navy Board of Investigation produced a report hundreds of pages long. Its finding was blunt. The flight was lost because its leader was confused about his position. Taylor's mother refused to let her son's name carry that, and she fought it. The finding was eventually amended to cause unknown, an act of mercy toward a family. 2 decades later, retold by people who never opened the file, it became proof that even the Navy was baffled. The legend builds slowly. In 1950, an Associated Press writer strings a few coastal losses into one article. In 1952, a magazine called Fate sketches a rough triangle onto the map. Neither has a name for it yet. February 1964. Argosy magazine runs a piece by Vincent Gaddis called The Deadly Bermuda Triangle. That is the moment the phrase exists. He draws the corners, Florida, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and expands it into a book the next year. In 1974, Charles Berlitz publishes The Bermuda Triangle, millions of copies, dozens of languages, Atlantis, and unknown forces and ships lost in flat, calm seas. In 1977, Close Encounters of the Third Kind opens with Flight 19 Avengers intact in a Mexican desert. Which brings us to the least glamorous hero in this story, Lawrence David Cush, a research librarian at Arizona State University who got tired of students asking for triangle books and went and read the primary sources instead.
Ships said to have vanished in a flat calm had gone down in documented storms. Some were lost nowhere near the triangle. Some had actually been found, and the findings simply never got repeated. And a few had never happened at all.
He published in 1975 and called The Bermuda Triangle a manufactured mystery, a story that got better every time somebody retold it without checking. On Flight 19, the popular version describes a calm evening. The record describes a rising wind and a ditching in the dark. So, the theories. 1. A magnetic anomaly killed the compasses. The strongest point is real. This is a place where true north and magnetic north can line up, and navigators do correct for it. What breaks it? That makes navigation easier, not harder, and nothing has ever been measured out there that could kill 5 compasses while the radios kept working. 2. Freak physics. Rogue waves, or methane erupting off the seabed and thinning the water until a hull falls through it. Rogue waves are real, and this region gets violent squalls. But the methane idea has never sunk anything outside a laboratory, and there is no evidence of eruptions there in this period. 3. The paranormal, Atlantis, energy fields, abductions. Its strength is that it explains every case at once. That is also exactly what is wrong with it. It makes no prediction you can test, and every case anybody has checked collapsed into weather, arithmetic, or bad reporting. Then, in 1991, it looked settled. A salvage crew hunting a Spanish galleon found 5 Avengers on the seabed about 10 miles off Fort Lauderdale, in roughly 600 feet of water. 5 together. The headlines wrote themselves. Then somebody read the bureau numbers on the airframes. 5 different aircraft, 5 separate accidents, 5 different months, which tells you the real thing. Thousands of American airmen died in training crashes during the war, and a lot of those wrecks are in exactly this water.
The flattest answer comes from the insurance market. Lloyd's of London has found no unusual concentration of losses there and charges no special premium to cross it. The Coast Guard says the same. Add the Gulf Stream, sudden squalls, and enormous traffic, and you don't need undiscovered physics. You need weather and volume.
Take the mystery out, and here is what is left. 14 men behind a leader who is tired and certain of the wrong thing, and 13 more who died looking for them. 27 ordinary deaths on one bad night. The triangle was assembled afterward by writers who found the record less profitable than the gaps in it. Missed our last one. A killer in California mailed his ciphers to newspapers in 1969. One took 51 years and 3 amateur code breakers to crack, and 2 are still unsolved. Cards on screen. Next time, June 30th, 1908. Something detonates in the sky over Siberia with the force of hundreds of Hiroshimas, flattens roughly 80 million trees, and leaves no crater at all. The Tunguska event. Check the heading. Check the source. And if you like your mysteries with the receipts attached, subscribe.